Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Money in the Law. I'm looking directly into the camera right now. It's Money in the Law with Jay Marston. This is Jay. I'm John Drohan from Main Effort Financial. He's from the Marsden Law Group, and we are Money in the Law, and we're being filmed graciously by the Holliston Hub, HCAT, by none other than Tom Harmon, who is the third leg of the stool for Money in the Law.
He keeps the stool up, holds it upright.
What would happen if you only have two legs on a stool? You're tipping over.
That's right.
You're tipping over.
Right.
Exactly. You're balancing, and he keeps us balanced.
He does. Good point.
Is the balance.
Excellent point.
All right, so we're Money in the Law. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been, and it's summer, we're kind of kicking into this, but just to review for everybody what Money in the Law does,
please,
is we address issues, talk about concepts, talk about ideas that have to do with the law, the legal system, which is why we bring in a lawyer, which is, just what we need. The world needs more lawyers.
Yes,
we have ours, thank goodness.
We tell everybody, what makes things better? More lawyers.
Yeah.
Always.
So we talk about that. We talk about the rules and how everything, how you have to kind of abide by those restrictive rules, or did I say ridiculous?
Guidelines.
Whatever.
Not rules, guidelines.
And then the other part of what we talk about is what makes the world go around, which is money. And that's why they call it money.
Because why does everybody love it? Because it's called money.
Because it's called money. But the way we do it, of course, is in such ways so people like the people who are talking, Jay and I, can actually understand it and actually make it a little more interesting and maybe a little more kind of down to earth. It's down to earth.
That's right. That's right.
It's down. It's
some might say if you can't understand challenging concepts, then you would be the right person to explain a challenging concept, right? Because explain it to me like I'm a golden retriever. Explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. Then I understand. Yeah. When I say that to somebody, they go, "Oh, now I understand what level I'm actually functioning at. Now I know how to commit at this thing."
I wish that's how it was. I wish that it was actually a golden retriever, because that's how I would explain it to my clients. Stay, come here. Come on, here we go.
Invest.
Here we go.
Invest. Come on.
Here we
invest.
Go.
Save for retirement. Come on. Save for retirement.
Here we go.
Save for retirement.
Who wants their doggy dinner? Who does?
Who wants to retire?
Who wants to retire? Come
yes, that's right.
You little right. Did you? Who did that? Who did that? Did you do that? Did you do that?
Who didn't save for retirement?
Yep. Who did? Did you?
Right in the crate.
Who took money out of their IRA before they were 59 and a half? Did you? You naughty doggy.
Bad boy. That's right. That's right. There you go, right there.
We could do a whole show on it.
Oh, my God.
So it's been a while. How's everybody been? Jay, how have you been?
So good. So far, so good. Everybody's fine. Everybody's good. Everybody's where they need to be. I like to say that. I got,
Are there people in the house, at your house?
Okay.
No. Where's the guys? Is everybody?
Kendall's, Riley's down the Cape. She's working down there for the summer, doing a lot of grad school work, and she loves it. So she's like, grad school on the deck or the beach. What do I want to do here? Same options we had as kids. So that's working out really well. And my daughter, Kendall,
we didn't have as kids,
is down in New York. She has an apartment down in New York. She moved off campus. And so she is spending the summer down in Hempstead.
So you and I are in the same boat.
Yeah.
So our children are still in school, right? Are still in school, and yet usually what happens in the summertime, Tom, I'm explaining this to you for when you're there. What happens in the summertime is, your kids are gone all year, but then they come home for the summer and you have like the families back together.
The band is back together.
Unless they decide to, stay in Cape Cod because I have the capability to, as you said, I could do my work here in Holliston, which is thrilling and wonderful and so exciting.
Yep.
Or I could be in Cape Cod where I'm near that. What's that noise? What's that smell?
Sound?
What's
yep.
Yeah.
Right. What's that roaring sound? Yep.
Or I could be in Holliston and get a job and make some money and hang out with my parents. Or I could live in New York, where everybody else is.
Yep. Down on Long Island, jump over to the city. That's great.
That's the exact same thing that happens. They stabbed me in the back.
Yep.
The two of them.
So they were both home last weekend. Father's Day weekend, they were both home, which was great. It was great to have everybody home. Yep. And you start to realize, that it becomes, we've joked about this on this show countless times, it gets harder and harder to corral them, right? So when you get them, right? And you're psyched to have them. So we had them. We took them out for brunch on Sunday. We had a great day. And then Monday, everybody gets up and they kind of go back to, the real life now, right? She goes back to New York. My daughter goes back to the Cape. She gets class. I'm working. My wife, same story, right? Same story, different day, but great.
And
great.
the nest empties again.
Empties again. Empties again. Yep. Yep. So,
but the good thing is that they're not far. Your guys aren't far.
No, that's right.
And you guys will be. You'll definitely go down and see Riley. Because you'll be down there quite a bit. So
easy to get to him.
Yeah. So Phoebe is at my mom's house.
Oh, love and life.
So
sure.
so I got that. Hey, Grandma said I could stay with her this summer, or I could come home. And I'm like. And so of course Haley and I are like, why would you do that? Why would you go up there? And then she walks away and we're like, why wouldn't you do that?
Why aren't I doing that?
Why am I?
Well, how about this? Think about that. Think about the memory.
Yeah.
Think about spending the summer. Like first of all, wanting. Think about the relationship, right? The fact that she wants to spend the time there.
Yep.
Like you didn't send her there like it was punishment,
Nope.
right? And the second thing is she's going to have that memory, right?
Yep.
And I'm sure your mother is like off the charts excited about it.
Yeah, you'd think that would be what it would be, right?
Yep.
It's that kind of like an opportunity that you're never going to get that chance again.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So that's great. That's good to hear.
That's great. And then of course Chloe, Nancy, New York. She's like, why would I leave? Why? I'm never leaving.
Greatest country in the world. Greatest city in the world. Why would I leave?
Country in the world. Yep. This is my country.
It is kind of its own country. Why would I leave? Why would I leave?
All right.
All
right. So that's where we're at. Tommy, how you?
Doing well.
You're well. You're good.
He's swinging the club. He's got a new Titleist hat on. He looks ready. He looks like he's ready to go.
You're ready. I mean, you know what you need? You need like a golf trip. You need like a 2-week, 36 holes a day, like where it becomes work, right? Where it's just
work,
where it's work, but your hands are all torn up at the end of it, but you've dropped your handicap by 6.
Oh, that would put him. He'd be a 1 handicap at that point.
I mean, you'd be like
get a tour card.
He's the guy making YouTube videos. Like, how come you can't par every hole?
Yeah.
What's the matter with
guys?
you?
It's easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Back to it. You done? Take a breath. Take a breath.
I'm not done. So what else? So I have an interesting thing.
Right,
so we almost had. I was telling you earlier.
Yes, you were.
I almost had my roommate Scott Williams, who is known in our house as Uncle Hockey.
Nice.
Because he played hockey at school. He's in town and he's here. He unfortunately had to work today. Like he's working from the house. He's still at my house. I'm like, and he's a fan of Money in the Law. So I'm like, hey. You know what? We're filming the show. Why don't you come be on the show? You and Jay, fast friends. He's like, and he looks at me and goes, I would love to. I would so love to, but I can't. I got this meeting, that meeting, that meeting.
Yeah.
So it's funny that the Uncle Hockey story. So my other roommate, who is also going to be in town this week, so they couldn't match up, but I'm going to see two of my roommates. The 3 of us lived together for 4 semesters at school. This is my other one's John Slater. He's from Arizona. John and I don't know, one day, we were kind of hockey groupies because we'd go watch him play and we were like, and we had nothing else to do on Friday.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think it was like our junior year, we changed his name from Scott to Hockey. And we're like, from here on out, that's your name. We just called him Hockey. But the great part about it is like the other guys on his team, they'd hear us talking and they're like, who are you talking about? We're like, yeah, Hockey. And they're like, why is his nickname Hockey? Yeah. Why can't my nickname be Hockey? I'm like, nah, because that's not your nickname.
Because you weren't there.
That's his name. And that is for the last 30 years, to where my children, I don't think they know his first name.
Right.
And Haley's saying goodbye to him today. She goes, bye, Hockey. I'll see you later, right? And that's just, Uncle Hockey. Yeah, so that's good. So yeah, he almost made it.
That's good stuff.
But yeah, so I was telling you, he works for a company that is involved in the defense industry. And as I'm driving in, what song comes on? You dropped a bomb on me, baby. You turned me on, which I can go all day. If I was a rock star, I would do that as one of my encores.
You drop in your Gap Gold CD right then and there.
My God, what a great song. What a great song. You dropped a bomb, you turned me. I can remember being in high school or in college where do you remember lip sync competitions?
Oh, I do.
Right. So there was Larry McSwiggan and his crew did a Gap band dropped a bomb, and they would win contests with that this was like before Backstreet. This is before they were dating Backstreet, dating NSYNC, all those like the boy bands, but they weren't actually singing. They were just lip syncing to the Gap band. You dropped a bomb on me, and they would win competitions.
That's a real skill.
And of course, his name, the band leader's name was Larry McSwiggan. Sure. So how do you go wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
This is McSwiggan and the Dancing Ducks or whatever they were.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, all right. So what are we
You
talking?
gave this a lot of thought, I can see.
I know. Well, it's been a while.
I know.
Right?
I know.
It's been a while.
Yeah, do a radio show, they said. Yep. So, what do you want to talk about? Something's on your mind. Go ahead. You came in there, guns blazing.
I've been doing most of the talking. I don't want to steal too much of your
That's
your
it.
mic time.
Thunder is gone. Thunder is under.
That's
Thunder
it?
is under.
It's out.
That's it. Done. I'm out.
Thunder is under.
Yep.
Have you played any golf?
Once a week.
Once a
week on Tuesday.
Are you improving? I mean, are you embarrassing yourself? Are you holding
No,
your own?
my goal, Tom, can
because you're an
appreciate this.
athlete,
No,
right?
Yeah, oh yeah, tremendous. My goal, Tom, can appreciate. My goal was to be in the mix, right? I'm not the guy that I'm not the head. I'm not top of the leaderboard.
Yep.
But I could win.
You could show up.
I could win. If I have a great round and somebody has a not so great round, it could be
like
the day
a pro
and days
golfer,
for me.
like any right on the tour at any given Sunday.
Yep.
You could win.
Couple putts break my way. There's a couple little things along the way, but I was talking to somebody about this, and they were asking me about it. I said, look, I just don't want to embarrass myself. I want to enjoy the round, and I don't want to feel like the minute we get there, I can't wait to get off. And I said, look, as long as I have a shot at being there or beating somebody in the mix, like I'm not always the guy at the bottom who's like trudging up to the clubhouse, like I lost again. It was a terrible round. I scored 80 on a 9-hole. I don't want that.
Trudging up to the. Something tells me that you don't trudge to the clubhouse. Something tells me that there may be a little pep in your step.
Might be a little
win
pep
or
in my
lose.
step. Yep, that's right.
Look, I don't care what my scorecard says because right now I know I'm done.
Are we going?
And there's the clubhouse. So we go.
Put those in the car? Nope.
You coming?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Are you guys? Put those in the car? No.
Nope.
Leave them right
there.
Leave them on the cart. Someone will take care.
Yeah. So yeah, that's as long as I can. If things break my way, I can be in the mix. That's all that matters. That's all.
That's good. That's and that's why you're playing once a week.
Yeah.
You're not messing around.
No. Once a week, fun, great group of guys.
Yeah.
A lot of older guys who are just loving life, and we get time on our hands now, and no one's, same thing. Everyone's got kind of a empty nest or a half empty nest, so they got the time, and so they said, look.
So when you say older guys, you guys are saying guys that are older than you, or guys that are
both. Some guys, I'm probably we got 1 or 2 guys younger.
I just picked that up because in the old days, when we would talk about older guys, we would be definitely referring to guys that were at least 10 years older than me.
Our father's age.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, well, I'm playing with some older guys.
Well,
right?
we get a couple of guys that are retired, like that, that's the window, right? It's probably a 10-year window, but some of the guys are retired already, and they get some side hustles, second gigs that they're doing, but no one's, breaking rocks.
We're playing with some older guys, and then we, collectively, because I fall in that category with the older guys.
Quickly falling in that category. Yep.
It's all right. It's all right. Just let it go. Just walk past it. Next slide.
Yep.
Next slide. All right. So I do have something that I wanted to talk about.
All right. So do you want to take a break and then come back and announce?
I'm going to tease it.
Okay. Tease it, then we'll take a break.
I'm going to tease you.
That's the radio thing. Tease it.
I'm going to tease you.
Tease it.
So I wanted to talk about, and again, I don't know if you have any experience in this. You do.
Probably
what do you estate planning and
estate stuff.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit about inheritance.
Ooh.
And I wanted to just clarify. I wanted to go back and review kind of the rules of inheritance, the taxation, because we get this question. I'm sure you get it all the time, right?
Yes,
you get the question of like, all right, so how much tax am I paying when I inherit this and da 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 da. So we're going to kind of review it. We're going to dumb it down. This is because we're coming back.
That's what we do.
We're going to slow it down. We're going to slow things way down.
We make it nice and understandable.
But it's important. It's important stuff. So we're going to talk about inheritance and the taxation, kind of all the kind of ins and outs of what happens when someone inherits money, which is always kind of a fun thing. All right.
Oh, free money. I love it.
All right. So don't go away. Stay tuned. Keep driving, but turn the radio up a little bit. You might have the windows down. It's been warm this week, so if you may have to roll them up and put the AC. You may have to power up.
I'll tell you how warm it is when we come back.
Yeah. All right. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
And we're back. My FM 101.3. Jay Marsden with the Marsden Law Group. John Drohan, Main Effort Financial. Tom on the bag today. And we are sitting here talking about all things money, all things the law. Right before the break, you mentioned how hot it is this week. So in addition to it being extremely warm from a climatological perspective, the heat is stuck on in my car.
No.
Yeah. So there's
Big Red.
Yeah. So there's no windows being rolled up and the AC being cranked up. It's the windows being rolled down to bring the cool, calming breezes of the 98 Metro West into the car to keep it
300% humidity.
Yep.
Just roll them down and cool this place.
Yep. Oh, nice and cold.
What are you going to do?
I don't know what I'm going to do.
You know what? Don't do anything.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not, this week will be the test.
You could go and say, you could say, could you fix this? And,
Or I could say, oh, look at fall.
Maybe
before you know it.
Maybe it'll fix itself.
Yep. You know who doesn't love it? The dog.
Oh,
Cassius is
poor
not
dog.
loving the ride to the Cape with me, I'll tell you.
Right. I mean, you know what? I have an extra, like the old beater, like RAV4,
Hey.
and the AC works great.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
will
fine.
loan
Yeah,
it
it's
to you.
fine. Well, it's been one of those, like we talked about why we haven't done the show in the past couple of weeks. We've just been busy. So it's one of those, like, I haven't had time to say, can I commit to this sitting here at the car shop for a couple of days till they fix it and do whatever.
Listen,
So I'm
I'll drive you to work. I'm
worry.
happy to do it.
I've got a car repaired before. I know how it works.
Okay.
Just got to get over there.
Okay.
Just got to get over there.
I mean,
But
I'm just
for those of you who want to go for
I'm
a
worried
ride,
that you're gonna see you on the highway with your head snapped
passed
back.
out.
Yeah.
So for those of you who want to go for a ride, take John's car. Don't ride with John. Don't ride with me for at least the next couple of weeks.
I mean, I'm just hot. I mean, because it's probably hot in there anyway. Because it's like those kind of cars are like big
Hotter it is
couches.
because it's got a football field size piece of glass in the front of it. You mean that might heat the car up a little bit? Yeah, a little bit. Yep.
You need to get one of like the sun visors.
Put that tint
right?
stuff in
Yeah,
there.
you need
Get
it.
my
You need
tints
some
on.
tin
Yep,
foil.
that's right. Get pulled over by the cops. Your tint's too dark.
Yeah. You need to
Yep,
tint
that's right.
that
That's
thing.
right. So you're talking inheritance. Maybe if the car that I inherited driving around. We'll
There
talk
we
about
go.
it. Speaking
We're
of
talking about
inheritances, let's talk about it. Here's what we find when people come in all the time. They always think a couple of things. We try to explain to people that the tax code is kind of multi-levered, right? Or multi-layered, multi-layered. There's
It's
multi everything,
Yeah,
right?
it's different.
You're going to pay, there's income taxes, there's capital gains taxes, there's gift taxes, there's inheritance taxes. Like, these all, come in at different stages depending on what's going on, right? So one of the things that we've tried to explain to people as kind of as a baseline for conversation is the concept of basis, right? And for those of you who are listening, what basis means is what did somebody pay for something, right? This is the thing we deal with clients all the time. What did your parents pay for the house, right? You inherited your parents' house. They tell you they paid $22,000 back in the day. Everybody remembers what they paid for their house. So they tell you they paid $22,000. That's the cost basis for what they paid for that asset. You buy a mutual fund at $10 a share, your cost basis is $10, right? You buy a car for $15,000. Your cost basis for the car is $15,000. It's just what you paid for something. And then it all starts from there. I'm done.
Ready?
Great
Go.
show, everybody. Great show. So that's the starting point for where all of these tax issues get kind of driven from, because that's what the government wants to know, right? The government wants to know if you paid this much money for something and then you sold it for this much more, well, that's what they're potentially going to apply some taxes on, right? That's the issue. So when your parents buy a house for $22,000 and then they sell it for $522,000, they have a $5,000 gain on that property. So when you inherit it, there's going to be some math.
I think if it was a $5,000 gain, we'd be pretty good. I think you mean a $500,000.
I say $500,000
Yeah.
gain. $500,000 gain. So there's going to be some math, right? So this is what, when you start inheriting things from your parents, depending on how you get them, this is where that calculation goes.
And that's a very important concept, is the concept of basis of inheritance versus if they were to simply just sell it.
Sell it, yeah.
So that's in fact, that could be arguably the most important thing, because the thing about inheriting property, when we talk about basis, when I inherit property, I get what's known as a step up, right?
Please explain.
And so when people, so if I die and my children get my estate, right? So
Yep.
when my wife and I we pass on our estate, there's property, right? And when we talk about property, it's not just real estate. It's all different. Everything we own is considered property, right? Like you mentioned, cars, your money that you have in the bank, your investments that you have in the stock market, your stuff, your baseball card collection, all that is considered your property, and your real estate. So this whole idea of whatever I paid for my house, or whatever I paid for that stock, or whatever I paid for that car, that's considered the basis. When someone inherits something, they get what's known as a step up in their basis. So, and this is a huge, with respect to the tax code, this is one of the biggest.
This is the gift of all gifts. The gift of all gifts.
It really is,
from the government.
because oftentimes people be like, well, so we use the real estate example so if I bought my house for $20,000 and now the house is worth $520,000, there is a $500,000 capital gain. So if I were to sell that house, if I were to sell my house, then I would be liable minus whatever my exemption was.
Yeah, forget all that. Forget all that. Just
I would be
simple.
There's a $500,000 capital gain that needs to be dealt with, right?
Correct.
And so usually the way with respect to property is if I just sell it, then I have to then there's going to be a tax. There's going to be some taxation, and then now there's exemptions. There's the $250,000 allotted exemption. So minus, like Jay says, minus the exemption, just deal with the tax. If I inherit that, if my children simply inherit that property, if I don't sell it and they inherit that $520,000 property, they get it when they inherit it, when the title gets passed over to them, their basis is now $520,000, meaning there's no more tax. There's no capital gains tax that they're liable to pay, because right now they own that house at a basis of $520,000. If they were to sell it, if they were to sell it tomorrow, there's no capital gains.
Well, and that's the key point, right? So the idea is you paid $20,000. When they inherited it, it was worth $520,000. So they have a $500,000 gain. That basically goes away, right?
Yeah.
That just gets erased. Nobody worries about it. Nobody goes looking for it. And then to John's point, when they go and sell it, if they sell it for $520,000, exactly what they got it at, they have no capital gain. Nothing. It doesn't cost them anything. If they hold on to it for 2 years and it goes from $520,000 to $600,000, they'll have an $80,000 gain.
Yeah, their capital gain starts from when they inherit.
That's right.
That's
right.
From at that base. So when you do estate planning, and I'm speaking for you, even though I know this has happened.
Yep.
Yeah. So when people are talking and doing their estate plan, they say, well, we have this property that we want to give to the kids, and we want the kids to benefit from it. Blah 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 blah. And so the idea of, well, it was a property that maybe we inherited, or it's something that we're not going to use, no one uses anymore. If we sell it right now, then if we're thinking about selling it and giving the money to the kids, you're like, okay, that's an option. That's absolutely something you could do. However, remember, there's that capital gains. If there's not an inherent need for it, or if there's not a timeline on it, then you could say, well, if you want to avoid that capital gains tax, because that's the thing is, if I sell that property now, I have to deal with that capital gains tax.
Yeah, so you see this come up with vacation property,
Sure.
right? Mom and dad say, look, you know what, we're not using the vacation property anymore. The kids don't really use it all that much. We're thinking about selling it. We don't want to, with the carrying costs, it's getting to be a hassle. And then we're just going to give the money to the kids. Mm-hmm. And then to your point, my answer would be, well, I mean, is there a way for you to keep the property and let the kids inherit the property? Because if they inherit it, all your capital gain goes away. What's the deal? And some people might say, we just really want to get rid of the property. That's fine.
So then that comes to kind of to this estate planning thing, and people, you see it. People get hung up on taxes, right? They get hung up, and for not for insignificant reasons. Taxes are taxes, and there's like money is involved, like all the taxes you talk about, income tax, estate tax, gift tax, all those things, it adds up, right?
Yep.
However, one thing we try not to do, and I'm sure you do the same thing, is we try not to let taxes wag the dog in every situation. So if someone says, hey, no one's using the Cape Cod property, or no one's using the Maine property anymore, no one likes it up there, we're going to sell it and give the money to the kids. And then you could say, if you're with your estate planning attorney, you may say, well, what you could do is if there's not a time on this, or if it's not something that needs to happen immediately, you could wait, and then they could inherit, and then you're going to avoid paying that capital gains tax.
Right.
However, if you don't want to, we don't know when that's going to happen.
There could be a very justifiable reason why they say, look, I just don't really want to carry the property anymore.
Yeah, and the justifiable reason is, right, I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to pay the real estate tax. Or I'd rather give my kids the money now because they get kids in college, and it would be great. And I'm going to do it anyway.
Yep.
Why do I wait? And I don't know when I'm going to go. I could go tomorrow. I could go 20 years from now.
Yeah.
So then your estate planning attorney would sit there and say, okay, well, here's what's going to happen. You're going to sell it for this. You're going to get some, you talk to your accountant, get a little depreciation. At the end of the day, this is going to be your tax bill. So if you sell it for $500,000, but you have to pay, $20,000 or $30,000 or $50,000
Sure.
capital gains tax, then your net is going to be $450. End of story. And you may be like, okay, that's what I want to do.
Yep.
But understanding that, I mean, if somebody, if I'm on my deathbed and I'm like, I'm going to sell and give the money to kids, you're like, why don't we wait a little bit?
Oh, absolutely right.
Yeah. Why don't we hold off? And here's what here's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and we're sensitive to it. If there's a mortality issue in the room, we'll say, hey, look, you know what? Before you sell, like if you're selling this because you're moving to a nursing home,
Yeah.
and your health is touch and go, it might make sense to hang on to it for a little bit and let the kids inherit it because they're going to get that step up in basis, and a lot of people's property they bought at a significant discount to what it's going for these days. So there's a real advantage to doing that. But you're 100% right. It becomes part of the conversation.
Yeah, and so the real estate, and often it's kind of one of the bigger things that you see when you talk about the inheritance and like the estate planning is oftentimes there's a proper real estate that's involved, right? And real estate that's kind of like the big fish in the pond, right? That's the one that you deal with. But then there's all kinds of other someone may just have money, right? So,
well, but think about it this way. So you started the conversation off with these are all just pieces of property, right? They're all considered property, real property, personal property, not property in the sort of very common sense of people think of property as physical real estate.
Stuff, yeah.
This is right. So this conversation is the same thing, right? We could be sitting here saying, I bought all these shares of Coca-Cola over the course of X numbers of years, and I want to start gifting these shares to my kids. And you might say, well, hold on, let's talk about this. Before we gift those shares to your kids, would it make more sense for your kids to inherit those shares of Coca-Cola? Why, pray tell, John? Why would I let them inherit it rather than give it to them now?
That's an excellent question.
The same exact rules would apply. If you give them the property, that's a different animal, because when we're talking about this idea of basis and talking about this idea of inheriting things, just like there's multiple different levels of the tax layers of the tax code, there's also different layers of basis. There's inherited basis, which is where you get this gigantic step up and all that gain goes away. But then there's also what's known as gift basis, which that's exactly the sound you make when you hear about gift basis, because here's what happens. We talked about break and then come back.
Take a break.
Look at that, love it.
Yeah.
All right.
So you
were reading my mind.
Listen, you guys bought the whole seat, but you only need the edge because that's where you are. And we'll be right back. We're going to talk about the gift basis, gifting versus inheriting, because that's what I really this is
meat
the
and
moral
potatoes,
of
baby.
that is meat
and
and potatoes and throwing a little salad on top.
Who needs coffee? When you get this type
I'm not drinking coffee. I'm gonna have another. I'm going to the salad bar. We'll be right back.
And we're back, My FM 101.3. Jay Marsden with the Marsden Law Group. John Drohan, Main Effort Financial. Tom on the bag with us. We're sitting here talking about basis. Very exciting stuff. Not bases like bases on a baseball diamond. Talking about basis, basis for taxes.
Those are two actually
basis
different
for
words.
Stocks, basis
Two
for
different
real estate.
spellings.
The idea of what did you pay for it?
He's
That's
on his
your basis.
basis.
He's on third basis.
Before we get started, and we've talked about this, and I brought this up to my room. I was talking earlier about my roommate who's staying with me. I was talking about my idea of, and I've talked to you about it for our cartoon that you are absolutely going to be a part of.
Of course, why wouldn't I?
And it's a claymation cartoon, and the name of it is called Chowdertown. And it's all like Massachusetts guys, but they're personified. Like it's a clam, a lobster, right?
Sure.
And they all live in this imaginary seaside town.
That sounds like another show, but go ahead.
No. This is
Tommy's going copyright.
What show are we talking about?
Keep going.
I don't know the show. I'm ignorant to it. And let my lawyer. You figure it out.
Is one of so one of them's a star?
No.
Just making sure. Okay, all right.
No, it's got nothing to do. No.
This sound like it at all.
This is way deeper than that,
Yeah.
because I don't know if it's going to, but. And our characters are all people that you probably grew up with in Medford.
Maybe. Yeah.
There's Tommy. There's Sully. There's
Smitty,
Mary.
Obi, Whitey.
Yeah, right.
Maya.
And we were talking about like the concept of it, and I was wondering. I was going to ask you as an attorney, what the copyright laws would be like if I had a central figure and his name was Bomb Trady and he was a star athlete and he would every now and again appear and they would kind of worship the ground he walks on, or where they would go get their coffee in the morning, it wasn't.
I think there would be. I think in the beginning of this, there's that disclaimer that says that none of these people are based on any real. Like you want that disclaimer is prominently displayed in the beginning.
Yeah, we go get our coffee every day at Mushy Muffins, not Dunkin' Donuts, right? Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, so so the whole concept that discussion had kind of come up today, and I was like. I love it. He's like, what are we waiting for? What, Tommy, Mary, and there's, but like in the old days, like in the old cart, there was always a lesson.
Yep.
There was always like a lesson, right? But in this case, the lesson would be, Tommy, don't drink too much after your old man softball game, right?
That's right.
And here's some of the bad things that can happen.
That's right. You do
This is
the whole thing.
why you don't yell at your kids and tell them. I mean,
That's right. Build them up. Don't break them down. Don't build them up. Don't break them down. Don't break them down.
Anyway, all right. So what made me think of that
dovetails right into gift basis.
What made me think of that is you saying basis. I'm not talking about bases on the baseball diamond. So it was just that vernacular.
What bases are you
We're
on?
talking about bases. We're talking about bases on your stocks. Yeah,
That's right. Stock basis.
Stock basis, your property basis.
Yep.
Yeah.
What'd you pay for it? Did you inherit your
How
mother's?
much you want for that?
Get your mother's house?
Yeah.
Get your mother's house? It's a nice place.
How's your mother?
It's a nice place over there. How's she doing? All right?
Yeah, she's doing all right.
Yeah, that's good. It's all good. How's your ma? How's your ma doing? So the idea is that when you inherit property, all that gain goes away, right? Because you inherited the property and your new basis is whatever you inherit it at, right? But a lot of people, especially when it comes to things like vacation properties and things like that, they'll want to give the property to the kids, right? The example we used a minute ago was nobody wants the house anymore. Nobody's using the house. Mom and dad don't want to carry the carrying costs. But sometimes people say, no, this actually
Nobody goes there.
This property is a cherished family destination that everybody goes, and we want to keep it in the house. But mom and dad don't want to keep the carrying costs anymore for them because it's getting a little harder, and they have a fixed income, and there's a whole bunch of reasons. So they want to give it to us, and we want it. We want to take the property. So if mom and dad give you the property, then you get what's called gift basis, right? And John made the boo sound before because it's unfortunate that when you get the property, when somebody just gives you the property, you're not inheriting it now, they give it to you, you get to pay from a tax perspective, you get it at whatever they paid for it.
Their
right?
basis.
Their basis. Mom and dad bought that place on the Cape for 100 years ago for 10 grand. Now it's worth $1 million because it's right on the water and nobody wanted to be near the water back then for some strange, crazy reason. When you get it, you get their $10,000 basis. And then when you sell it at some point down the road, you have a gigantic gain. What's wrong with my math?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing. Although I just want you to be the attorney at the closing when I'm selling it. Okay, what we have here is you bought this house for $10,000 and you're selling it for $1 million. All right, so that counts at $10,000 basis. Okay, and I'll be like, yeah, let me write that check right now. I'll take
it. Not $10,000 gain. The basis is $10,000. The gain's $990.
The gain's $990.
Yeah. The basis is $10,000.
I know, but that's not my tax bill. I thought
no. The gain, that's just your gain. Then there's more taxes, right?
Yes.
Just figure some stuff up. So about this. I'm with
so $990,000 gain, and I pay my 15 to 20%.
Some crazy amount of money in taxes.
Yeah.
So you don't get a step up in basis. Their basis becomes your basis. That's gift basis. They're giving you the property, and this is the same for stock. It's the same for but you're getting the property, and if whatever they paid for it, that becomes yours for purposes of calculating what your taxes are going to be down the road.
Yeah, and that's significant.
Yes,
right? It's a significant thing because in the heat of the moment or in the time now, you feel like, oh, that's great. I own the property. The title's been signed over to me. It's been gifted to me. I have a Cape Cod property.
Yep.
How awesome is this? But and especially if it's something that you're sharing like with your siblings, and we often see this like where if like adult siblings kind of inherit a vacation property,
sure.
And then that they kind of, and they've kind of grown up there, but then, as they get older, they get to the point where like, their kids are in different places, right? So some of the kids still go to the property, some of the kids are in Chicago, some of the kids are in California. So,
sure.
So that next generation 9 out of 10 times they're not going to keep the property
Right.
because it's just there's too many chefs, there's too many people involved with it,
and they just don't share the same connections.
and
right?
they don't share the same connections. Yet, if they all are owners of the property, like let's say they have 10 cousins that are all like inherit this property. They got 10. They have to pay real estate tax. They have to pay upkeep. They have to pay all the stuff. And like, I'm in San Diego. I'm not going there.
Yeah,
like,
I don't even use the house anymore.
Yeah, I don't need it, right? So at that point, you get to that point, and you're like, okay, now we're going to sell the house. Whoa, okay. When we go to sell the house, what's our basis of selling this house? Oh, Grandma gave Dad the house and everybody else, and she bought it for $5,500, and it's worth $5 million now. You're like, woo. Now,
Well, and think about this. Grandma gave the house to Dad, right? So Dad gets her basis, right?
Yeah.
Now that basis becomes his basis,
Yeah.
right? Now he gives the house to you,
Yeah.
right? Or to the kids. The kids are dragging around Nana's basis because it's never been inherited by anybody. It's just been gifted down the
Exactly.
line. And every time you gift it down the line, you're just passing on that low basis.
You're giving up that step up.
That's right. At some point, somebody needs to inherit this to kind of restart that basis so
Yeah.
you can get rid of that gain. But that comes with, as you mentioned, that comes with some other responsibilities and some other obligations that some people just might not love, right?
Yeah.
They might say, I really don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. That's what you got to think about.
So again, it comes back to the whole, and this is where your estate planning attorney is going to sit there and say, all right, look, here's the way this works. If you want to do it right now, you can, but it's going to cost you. It's going
Right.
to cost you this, as opposed to if you want to kind of let things go, and then they'll help you do the math on it. Say, okay, well, all right, if we keep it, then and we're sharing this cost, and this is how and if everybody agrees to it, then it may be better to be able to just wait until
Right.
it becomes an inherited property. And that's like the real estate. But you also mentioned, you talked about like stocks and equities and securities. It operates the same way.
Yeah, it
right?
does.
And so how many times have you seen, oh yeah, Dad had some Ma Bell AT&T shares that they bought back in the grandma bought in 1935, and they bought them for 18 cents, or I bought this I inherited these. I only got 5 stocks, 5 Berkshire Hathaway A shares.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way,
Look at this.
Yeah, they were gifted to me, and they were gifted to me when they were like crazy expensive, like $25,000 a share, right? And now Berkshire is trading for almost $400,000 Berkshire A. So yeah, so that the idea, the same thing applies. If I inherit securities, if I inherit like a portfolio of securities, we use Berkshire as the example. So if I inherit that, and my grandfather or my father bought it at whatever, and now at $30,000 a share, which is ridiculous, insane money, right? Back then. But now it's worth $400,000 a share. I've inherited that. My basis is now $400,000. So if I turn around and sell that stock tomorrow, it's as if I bought it at $400,000 a share and I sell it for $400,000 a share. I have no capital gains other than the fact that now I just got $400,000.
And think about it. So everybody can really wrap their head around the idea of real estate, right? Oh yeah, the house. They know what a house looks like. They know what a piece of property looks like. They get it. This is the same conversation around a portfolio, right? Somebody's got a portfolio of investments. They could figure out right now, they could say, if I liquidated my entire portfolio of Berkshire and Coke and Tesla, whatever's in the portfolio, if I liquidated that entire portfolio right now, this is what I would pay in capital gains, right? They'll even figure it out for you at the firm, right? They'll tell you exactly what it is. Or you can pass away and leave that inheritance to your kids, and then they restart the clock from a basis perspective. If they inherit it and then they sell it, usually not a lot in the way of capital gains.
And that could be a significant difference, a significant money difference.
Sure.
And again, it all depends on the timing, it all depends on the need, it all depends on whatever, every situation is different. But if it's something you just want, if you want to leave a legacy, so oftentimes people want to leave. If I want to leave a legacy, and I don't care when that legacy, I care because I don't want to die, but if it's something that gets passed on later on, then that's fine. That tax consideration or capital gains and the basis play could be significant.
Well, it's worth a conversation.
It's absolutely worth a
conversation. The answer could be, who knows what the answer could be, right? The
Yeah.
answer could be, you know what? I got a bunch of losers in my portfolio. I'm going to sell them anyway, make some changes to my portfolio. I'm going to use that cash, take those losses. And there's a whole conversation around how and what that
and that may be the right
liquidation looks
answer.
like.
You may be like,
That's right.
Yeah, and I don't know how many we've said it before. We've said it particularly with old life insurance policies, like where someone's like, all right, I got this life insurance policy, and it's not very different, right? So I get this life insurance policy. It's one of those old whole life policies. It's some guy had me buy, right? This is
Friend
great.
of a friend.
Do you care about your family? Do you care about your family?
You seem like a responsible man.
Do you care about because
you love your wife?
Because if you care about your family and something happens to you, they'll be provided for with this life insurance. We just need to review this. Now, do you care about retirement? Do you want to save for retirement? Because if you do that, then guess what? The same thing's going to do that for you because money will accumulate in this bucket right here. And they draw the bucket. This money will accumulate right in this bucket. And guess what? If you want to take that money out, if you want to use that money, you get that money. Wait for it. Tax-free.
Love it.
That's right.
Yep.
You get it tax-free because you take it out in the form of a loan. You're going to loan that money back to yourself. And guess what? When you loan that money, you don't have to pay that loan back. You loan that money back to yourself, never have to pay it back. You get it income tax-free. And you're like, why? Where do I sign?
Where do I sign? Where do I get all this free money?
Where do I write my $5,000 premium check to you, life insurance guy? Where do I do that? Yeah. So
I'm in a meeting last week, and somebody said to me in the course of our conversation, they said to me, "Did you ever sell life insurance for a living?" And I said, "How did you know? What gave it away? What gave it away?"
You're good. So how many times have we seen in the last 25 years where someone's got one of these life insurance policies, and I'm 70 years old, and inside my life insurance policy I got $45,000, and the death benefit's worth $150,000, right?
Sure.
And they're like, yeah. So what should I do? I mean,
I'm writing this check.
I'm still paying on this, and then my family, which I really care about, because I told the life insurance guy 30 years ago, they'll get $150,000. Or what I could do is I could cash this thing out, and if there's any capital, the capital gains tax would be any gains that I had above the premium I paid, which probably isn't too bad, but whatever. I may have to pay some tax. I could cash it out, and I'll have $45,000. Then I could do whatever I want with
something
right now.
Yep.
Yeah, and somehow in some obtuse way, they're thanking the life insurance guy for that, right?
Thank God I had that.
Right, and if my lifelong friend Mike D'Anzaris was standing right here, he'd be like, "See, you're welcome. You look exactly.
No thanks necessary.
You're
no
welcome,
thanks necessary.
right? We accomplished everything. You took care of your family, right? And now you have some accumulated money. Now, granted, you were paying $1,200 a month. I don't know what $1,200 a month would have gotten you over the last 30 years. In fact, who knows? Who knows what the market?
Maybe around the same. Probably around the same.
Maybe around the same. Maybe around the same. I would have 3 times as much if I buried it in my backyard.
Yep, that's right. Stuck it in my sock drawer.
Seriously.
That's right. But you got it.
But
you got it.
Here we are.
It served a purpose.
It served a purpose. And again, it goes back to the whole idea of maybe it's better for me to kind of cash this money out now based on the timing versus because if I wait and the life insurance policy and I pass away and it gets passed to the beneficiaries, they're going to get more money. They're going to get tax-free, right?
Yep.
But you know what? At that point, maybe they don't need it, or
maybe I don't need it.
Maybe that's
the need that I was insuring for has changed.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Maybe a $50,000 cash value policy payout might buy you long-term care insurance.
It could.
That might make more sense. That might make more sense.
Which you might need. All right. So before we wrap this up, there's one more thing I want to say.
Please.
I want to add.
Please.
So, and
the floor is yours.
This comes down to, and it's about the same thing. So how many times have people who one of your clients are inheriting money, and they're under the impression that they're going to have to pay taxes on it. They're under the impression. My mother or my grandfather left us each $100,000 from his bank account.
Right.
And we're like, what's the tax implication of that?
All right, another teaser, quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about it.
All right, really quick.
All right.
We'll be right back.
All right,
we'll be right back, and then we'll wrap it up.
And we're back. See how quick that was? Money in the Law.
I looked at my clock, and there it is, yeah.
Jay Marsden with the Marsden Law Group. John Drohan, Main Effort Financial. Tom here, keeping us looking good on camera. You were asking right before the break, so when people, is there an inheritance, great, back to the idea of layers, right? Inheritance tax, estate tax, right? So your example, your fact pattern was somebody inherits $100,000. And you're exactly right. We get that question all the time. So what do I get to pay in taxes?
Yeah, well,
I inherited $100,000. I must owe some money to somebody, right?
It's got to be.
Government's coming. Government's
Think
coming.
of it in terms of income tax, right?
Yep.
So this is $100,000 out of the bank.
Yep, you inherit $100,000 out of the bank from somebody. It is not income to you. It is free money.
Free money.
Free money. Free money. Now, here's what should happen, right? In Massachusetts, they changed it recently. As long as someone's estate is under $2 million, it is literally free money. You get if you have $100,000 coming to you, somebody leaves it to you, part of an estate, through a will, through a trust, whatever it looks like, and their estate is under $2 million, when you get that money, it's free money. You're not going to, there is no income on that. It's not income. You didn't get income. It's not earned income. It's not money from not retire unless it's money from an IRA, different story. But assuming it's just $100,000 they had kicking around in a CD at the bank, it's just money for you. There's no inheritance tax. Massachusetts does not have an inheritance tax. You don't pay anything for getting it.
And this is important. And you just said this, made me think of it. So the whole idea of you owing taxes, you as an inheritor of an estate owing taxes, technically that's not, whether it be we're talking about estate taxes.
Yeah.
Technically, you're not paying the tax.
You don't owe the tax.
No,
you are the person inheriting the money.
Exactly. So it's the estate that so when a client comes to me and says, "Yeah, I'm inheriting $100,000 from my uncle, me and all my cousins, Tommy, Sully, everybody is getting $100,000. We don't know where the money came from. We're not asking any questions. We don't care. But we're all getting this money." The money, the computation happens with respect to the estate. And Jay brought up the Massachusetts estate tax is the threshold is $2 million. So anything below $2 million, nobody owes, the estate owes no taxes.
No, the estate owes no taxes, and you owe no taxes just for getting the money.
Exactly. So now, let's say the estate is $3 million. So now there's $1 million. It's $1 million above the limitation. Now there's an estate tax issue. So now the estate itself is going to owe estate tax, right?
Right. So somebody, probably the executor, somebody's going to have to file an estate tax return with the state of Massachusetts. Just like you file an income tax return, there's an estate tax return for estates over $2 million. So you'll file an estate tax return, there's math, and then when the math is all done, there's a number. And that number is the estate owes the state of Massachusetts $200,000, for example. I don't know the number off the top of my head. Let's say it's $200,000. So to your point, somebody's estate was $3 million at their death. Somebody did a M706 form, filed it with the state of Massachusetts. The result of that calculation is that the estate has an estate tax liability of $200,000. Somebody who's handling the estate, probably the person that you've been complaining about for 9 months because you haven't received
your
sister
check
Mary
yet.
I don't have my money. She's dragging it out. They're screwing me. This is usually the things that we hear from people, right? Because they're actually doing their job as the executor. They're not stiffing you out of your money, but that's what everybody thinks. So now that they've done the math and they've done the calculation and they figured out what's owed by the estate, and then they figured out where am I going to come up with $200,000? Is it from a mutual fund? Is it sale of real estate? Whatever it is, they write a check when they file the return to the state of Massachusetts for $200,000. So now you got $2.8 million, and that's what's going to get distributed to everybody in the estate. And you still won't owe any money because, to John's point, the estate tax obligation was taken care of by the estate, by the person who's handling the estate. That's what happens.
So no, you're never going to get hit with a tax bill from an inheritance.
You shouldn't. No, you shouldn't.
Now, the only time where there could be, and again, this would be something that all the beneficiaries would have to agree on. The only time it could be is if, like, all right, so let's say we have a $5 million house and we have a $200,000. And that's all it is. We've just inherited a $5 million piece of property.
Sure.
And there's a $200,000, because again, this is different from, we're not talking about basis. This is a separate conversation from the whole basis and step up. This is the estate tax, the Massachusetts estate tax. So if I inherit a $5 million piece of property, there's going to be, I'm above the $2 million threshold.
Yep.
So there is going to be an estate tax owed to the state of Massachusetts. Now, who's paying that, right? So there's two options. There's two ways to pay that right now. So if all it is just that $5 million, and let's say we owe $200,000, either A, we sell the $5 million house, and bada boom, bada bing. Actually, there's three ways. Bada boom, bada bing. We say, okay, $5 million, pay the tax. Everybody else gets the money.
Everybody gets cash.
Right?
Yep.
It's option number two. Everybody ponies up. Like, hey, we want to keep this house. You want to keep going on vacation, Cape Cod. You like the view. You like everything. Everybody, throw money in, right?
Yeah, and to your point, some people would say, yeah, and then we inherited money and I got hit with an inheritance tax.
No.
The answer is no. You were not hit with an inheritance tax. You were hit with the option of paying the estate tax out of pocket.
So you could keep this property.
So you could keep the property rather than liquidate it.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yep. And then option number three is we get some sort of financing. We finance. We could finance that $200,000 debt. Collectively we take out a $200,000 mortgage on the house. That pays the estate tax. We're all responsible for the mortgage, and life goes on, and everybody's happy.
Yep. And that's exactly how it would work. And that's not an unusual scenario where when I worked at Fidelity, people would say all the time.
You worked at Fidelity?
I did, yeah, for a little while.
Really?
For a little while.
No, you know what? I have some nephews that work there.
Friends there?
They should talk to you.
When we were there, we would talk about estate liquidity, but it was in Fidelity terms, right? So everything came with more zeros, right? so you were talking about massive concerns about liquidity and estate taxes and things like that. And I tell people all the time, we see these liquidity issues at a very kind of everyday level all the time around things like vacation properties. Whether it's usually Cape Cod, right? So somebody inherits something on the Cape, and they say, well, we inherited a house, and we have to pay an estate tax liability, and we don't know what we're going to do, right? So, is that where an insurance policy helps address some of these things? There's other planning methods out there that are designed to address one of these layers of taxes that might show up, because you can do some things to make those things, a little bit more feasible.
There's ways to skin that cat.
Yes, there are. Absolutely right.
All right, listen, we're out of time.
All right.
I think maybe money in the line. I think we ran a little over.
Flew by.
You know what? It's okay.
We get so caught up in tax.
I don't mind.
Talking about it.
It's been a while since we've had a show, so good.
We'll give you extra.
It's going to be a little extra. Yeah. You know what? Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't leave room for
Tommy,
milk.
you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah. We're right. All right.
Who are you talking to? Go ahead.
McAuliffe.
All right. Go ahead.
No, because. For all the right reasons.
Understood.
Yeah. All right, listen.
Let's wrap this up.
We'll see everybody next week.
Next week.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, next week.
We'll see everybody next week. Money in Law. Tom Harmon from Holliston. Jay Marsden, John Dron. We're so happy to be back.
Happy to be back.
Hope you guys are having a great summer. Happy today. We're recording on Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth.
Yep.
We'll see you.
Ignore this ankle thing. Don't even pay attention to it.
We'll see everybody next week.
Talk about it later.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Why is it beeping?
What? Yours isn't beeping.
Go ahead.
See you.